Hi, welcome back to Bounce Forward with me, Tiff. I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which I'm recording this podcast, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. I pay my respects to elders past and present. Brooke sent me a message. I heard recently you've been doing your postnatal training certificate. What was the moment that made you decide to want to do it? And what is it that you love about training women so much? Well, Brooke, I have some news. I passed my exam. Yay! I am a certified pre- and postnatal trainer, and I got 99% on my exam, which I was so excited about because I thought if I fail this exam, I'm going to have to give up as a trainer because a lot of it was covering, basic training foundation principles and things like that. So I passed. Now, I guess the moment I decided I wanted to do it was I was really super inspired by my viral mum bod programs. They're based on the philosophy that you are postpartum for life, that you have these children and there's no bouncing back. There's no going back to what you were and just moving on with your life. My podcast is called Bounce Forward because it's about the bounce. It's about, getting stronger and moving forward and not living in the past and always striving to be better than what you were. And the bounce forward philosophy was just so important to me. And the mum bod programs, I've got mum bod lower body, mum bod upper body, mum bod core, prego mum bod, and a total body mum bod plus program. These programs, they were filmed with my pre and postnatal trainer Tash and also my pre and postnatal trainer Tanya and a women's health physio Beck Liberatore. And with these women, I was so inspired by the other trainers. I was like, oh my goodness, I want to be able to take these programs. I want to be able to, empower women. And I have always been a very competent trainer, but I understood that there are specific things, preconception, pregnancy, postpartum, perimenopause, menopause, these phases that women go through where you can't fudge it. You do actually need the piece of paper and the qualifications. And our hormones are continuously shifting and changing. Like I look at my husband. He trains day in, day out, every single day, lifts the weights, happy days, never changes, no fluctuations. Whereas I look at my cycle and, through the luteal phase, I'm struggling. Through my period, I'm struggling. But follicular phase, I am like, it's like, what's wrong with you? I'm full of energy. I'm the Energizer Bunny. I'll do 2 workouts in a day. I can't get enough of it. And these hormones, it's all natural. And I really wanted to look into that. So I did this course and it's a global certification with Brooke Turner. She was a fantastic mentor and a very inspiring educator. And I wanted to empower women because a lot of women think that they need to live with symptoms like prolapse, minor prolapses, or leaking. 1 in 3 women experience leaking after having babies, and they just put up with it. But as a trainer, I wanted to empower women to say you don't have to live with symptoms. You don't have to actually live with discomfort at all. There are ways to fix it. I can help you with your training and the strengthening of those muscles. I can refer you on to women's health physio. A lot of women don't even know what women's health physios do and how much they can help and transform people's lives. And I just wanted to give women the right information. There's a lot of this philosophy. You have the baby and then you start exercising. You go from 0 to hero. You got to snap your body back to what it was, and you go hard or you go home. And that is not the way you should be training. You should be training. You've got forever to find your fitness. That's what Brooke says. And you should be training to enjoy your life and in a functional way for your life in the hood, in motherhood, and not giving yourself injuries or furthering hurting yourself or damaging yourself. It's such a healing phase, that postpartum phase. And it's got to be so delicate. And every pregnancy, every woman, every day is different, right? So that's what I love about the challenge of training women who are pregnant or postpartum, because they can have so many things going on in their bodies, and you can be across it. You can say, okay, so I'm training a woman who is 5 weeks pregnant, and she's got X, Y, and Z going on with her pregnancy. But even when she presents to you, every single day, every single training session is going to be different with her, and you have to change it up. You've got to really work with that client. And, a lot of women are scared to work out when they're pregnant. I myself was one of them. So when you asked me what was the moment you decided you wanted to do it, when I was pregnant, I had this dream of doing the certification, but I was just so upset by my pregnancies. I really struggled in my pregnancies. I honestly think after having Veda, I had a little bit of postpartum depression. I was a lot bigger than my usual body. I was unfit. I was struggling. I had to have a knee operation because of the pressure on my joints under the new weight. I mean, it was such struggle town for me. And I really wanted to do the pre and postnatal certification, but I was, what's the word? Not embarrassed, but maybe embarrassed, and kind of felt a bit of shame, I guess, like that I was a trainer, and in some way in my brain, it felt like I had messed up the pregnancy. Like I was comparing myself to other trainers who had had fit pregnancies, and I'd had a very unfit pregnancy, and I didn't train that much, and I struggled. So I guess comparing myself, I felt like, oh, you don't know what you're doing, Tiff. You put on all this weight. And I was embarrassed to kind of be in front of an educator or in a class situation. And I got over that because I actually see my pregnancies as such powerful teachers. I had pelvic girdle pain. So I now understand when somebody presents with pelvic girdle pain, what that's like. Lightning crutch, right? I can work with you. I can train you. I can empathize with you. I had a miscarriage, and I understand the emotion and also the physicality of, that as well, and how hard that is for women, and why women may be terrified to train in their pregnancies. If they've had a lot of miscarriages, they may be terrified to move in that first trimester. I get that. I understand weight gain in pregnancy. I understand what that does to you emotionally, physically, spiritually. I understand all of those things. And in my pregnancies, I just gained an insight into women's psyche that was so powerful that I wouldn't change a thing now. And I am so excited to go forward and help women. I love training women so much because they are all so different, and it's a challenge. It's a real challenge because, like I said, we have different phases in our lives. Not only are we dealing with our cycles every month, but there's the preconception, there's pregnancy, postpartum, perimenopause, and menopause, and our hormones are always forever changing. And I love that challenge. And I love the human connection with women. They come to me and they say, I feel so crappy today, Tiff. And it's because of X, Y, and Z. And I think, well, it's actually also because of, A, B, and C. And you put it all together, and there's always a lot going on. Plus you add to it that women are the primary caregivers. We take on 90% of the mental load of the household. There are a lot of balls in the air. Our minds are always so fatigued with the to-do lists, and there's a lot going on. You're not showing up completely rested and ready to perform in a training session. You're showing up probably at 60%, already drained, already had a huge day with the kids. So I get it. I get where women are coming from, and I think that that's one of the strengths of my MumBod programs and the programs that I create for women. I totally get it. So I have loved training women and loved doing everything, but I needed that piece of paper to say that I could train women pre and postnatally. And I learned so much in my course. And it was such a great thing to do. So if you're a trainer and you're listening to this podcast and you work with women, then you absolutely do need a pre and postnatal training certificate, because the women that you have will they will either be having babies or had babies, or they may be 10 years postpartum. And like things like, you think, oh, I had my babies and I didn't have a prolapse, I'm fine. My pelvic floor is strong. But your hormones change again in menopause, and that's when you can have a prolapse. And it's because of the babies, but maybe it's 20 years ago, but you didn't do the pelvic floor work back then and you thought it was fine, but then the hormones change again and hormones affect your pelvic floor, and you could be in menopause dealing with prolapse. Like, this is about training women in a strong and safe way now to really bulletproof their future and really make sure that those things don't happen. And I didn't know any of this. So I'm just so excited and so happy. So great question, Brooke. Level up if you're a trainer working with women. Go get your pre- and postnatal certification. I'm here working with women and will always be working with women and love it so much. Thanks so much for listening to Bounce Forward. I love having your company. So please DM me on Instagram at tiffhall_xo and let me know all of your juicy questions. Don't forget to rate and review me on your podcast app. Speak soon. Happy days.